Want to shift from food to drinks. We had some quarterly results from Molson Coors, and the stock is rallying today after better than expected performance. For more on some of the consumer trends right now, we wanted to bring in Chantalle Butler, who took over as president of Molson Coors Canada in April. She joins us here in studio. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you. Thank you, John.
There's so much that we talk about in the economy right now, what consumer demand is like in an environment like this. You're always trying to navigate that as well in running your business. How would you characterize what's been happening with Molson Coors?
Molson Coors has been thriving, particularly here in Canada. We're going on our third year of growth. We are growing the most share in beer, led by Coors Light, which is the #1 light beer in Canada, continuing to grow market share. Our Molson brand family is also growing market share. Miller Lite is the fastest growing beer brand in Canada right now. And we're growing share in the beyond beer, seltzer, ready-to-drink, full-flavor market. In fact, we're the only major brewer growing beer in that segment, led by our Simply Spiked innovation, Coors Seltzer, Vizzy, and Arizona Tea. So we're thriving right now, continuing to thrive, and we have no plans to let up.
A lot to unpack there. I just want to go back to pricing, because that was one of the things that it seemed like investors were pleased with. Kind of a tricky time, right? Everybody's very sensitive to price right now, but having pricing power is obviously something that is rewarded with investors. Give us a sense of how you think about pricing in an environment like this.
Yeah, pricing has moderated. Inflation has moderated in the country. And we're actually seeing a little bit more trends in consumers in terms of pack size behaviors, moving more towards either larger packs or smaller packs. But interestingly enough, we're still seeing premiumization in the segment as well. So a lot of different consumer behaviors going on with respect to pricing in the market.
So when it comes back to the traditional beer business, and I've been covering this stuff for long enough to remember when Molson and Coors came together to be a more powerful business, but you highlighted some of those beyond beer products that you've been rolling out. At one point, did you realize that there was a growth opportunity and you guys could be, as a more traditional beer company, a big part of that?
Yeah, about 4 years ago, we actually evolved our strategy to go from a beer business and changed our name actually to Molson Coors Beverage Company.
Right.
To expand our portfolio into that ready-to-drink, beyond beer segment, seltzers, full flavors, but also expanding on the low and no alc side of the business as well, with the addition of Molson Ultra into our portfolio, Coors Edge, Heineken 0.0 in Canada. So looking to really expand our portfolio as consumers are looking for different choices within their beverage needs and occasions.
Yeah, I will say on a personal level, I have been a large consumer of those non-alcoholic beers. And I think one of the things that really stands out in the beer business, maybe versus, I don't know, the wine business, is that a lot of these products get check marks on taste. And so it feels like you're not missing too much. Give us a sense on how that's growing as a part of your business and how you balance that with the more traditional beer business.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing a large surge in terms of the low and no alc beer portfolio. And you're right, it does taste great, which is part of the reason why consumers are leaning towards it. But it just gives people another option when they're looking for variety in their choices, looking for different drinking occasions, one where they maybe want to celebrate, but they're going to be responsibly drinking. It gives them more options with great taste. Okay.
Now, in terms of where people are buying beer, other alcoholic drinks, especially in, a province like Ontario is a good example. A lot of change going on right now. Can you walk us through how things are changing and how that's impacting the way you grow the business from here?
Yeah, the market in Ontario is expanding in the retail segment, and we're really excited about it. We have a thriving business here in Ontario. We have the #1 brand with Coors Light and the #2 brand with Molson Canadian here in Ontario. And we have a lot of expertise and experience in other markets in Canada as well as globally in these types of more expanded retail markets. So we're really looking forward to it. It's happening very quickly as we speak and changing by the minute, but we're really looking forward to it and we're ready to thrive in whatever the new retail shape looks like here in Ontario.
Chantalle, before I let you go, a lot of people are trying to figure out where the economy goes from here. We seem to have shifted from a question around inflation a frustration for consumers to now, is the economy cooling down? When you're trying to grow your business, but be mindful of all that, how do you view the landscape right now? What are you thinking about most?
Yeah, we take a balanced approach. We do look very regionally in terms of economic factors. Input costs, obviously, an important factor as well. And brand strength, and making sure we have brands that play in all segments of the portfolio. So we meet consumers where they are and what their needs are, and making sure that we have a portfolio that really gets them whatever they need at that time. And we're winning in that market right now.